Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Tuesday, 12 noon Eastern Time. I am Lee Godbold. I've got Shane Miller, our ads manager expert, in the house here with JRA. Aaron is running the show behind us. If you guys have any questions at all, please post them. We bring you Making Hay with JRA every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you guys are watching us on the tube, hit that subscribe button and give us either the thumbs up or thumbs down, depending on how this episode goes for you today. Those of you watching on Facebook, glad you could join us on Facebook. Please post comments, questions, all that good stuff throughout today's episode so we can cover those type of questions with you. Today's topic of our show is going to be on Google Ads management, and it's one of the most common topics or questions that people present to us is how to properly run a Google Ads campaign. We've done some material in the past on this. We're going to actually expand and reveal a little bit more today. And again, guys, any questions at all, please post. So we'll bring Shane in on some of this stuff because he is the ads expert here at JRA. What I want to start out with is kind of just 5 tips on how to properly set up an ads campaign. Something we've never really talked about in the past is the fact you want to use just exact and phrase match keywords. You do not want to go broad. Shane, if you can kind of explain what exact, phrase, and broad are and why it's important not to do broad match, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. So when we're looking at a keyword like junk removal, if we're using Google's type exact match, that means someone exactly types into Google junk removal, causing your ad to show. That's what exact match is. Phrase match would be junk removal, and then they add either something on the end or something in the beginning, and there's the keyword junk removal around that search. Now that could be junk removal Raleigh, junk removal, Milwaukee, any city around that. Now, when you get into broad match is kind of when you get into a tricky situation, because then you're basically allowing Google to dictate what is close enough to junk removal that they are willing to display your ad. That could be trash removal, which is similar. That could be garbage removal, which is similar. But, garbage removal and trash removal, depending on the area you are in the country, those might not be keywords that you want to target. And then all of a sudden, you've spent a couple $100 on keywords that Google thinks that are near what you're searching for or what your business is, but it's not exactly what you want to do. So when we look at exact and we look at phrase, these are the areas that we want to target. We always typically want to stay away from broad match.
What we've learned is with Google, the more automated stuff that Google comes up with, typically the worse it actually works. Like cost per acquisition, that CPA, cost per acquisition. We've clicked. What's the strategy? CPA. Is that it?
Cost per acquisition. So
that's a Google strategy.
Yeah,
they'll raise it up if they think it's going to convert. Correct.
Yeah,
explain that.
There's about 10 different bidding strategies. So when you set up ads, you've got optimized for conversions, manual CPC, cost per market share, outranking. You could put in your competitor, and then Google can make it where you always outrank your competitor. But all these things, every single bidding strategy except manual CPC basically gives up control of your campaign to these automated bidding strategies, which they're really pushing hard for these heavy automated bidding strategy, because it really gives them and their algorithms control over what's going on.
Where they make the most money.
Yeah, they do.
Google Ads Express, that's a very common, and I think Google's kind of rebranded AdWords Express into something a bit different. But this was like the ultimate in giving up control, and it's what many people come to. They start out on Google Ads Express, and then Google basically picks your keywords. I believe you can add in some negative keywords on Ads Express, but you can't view like search term reports in it, correct? On Ads Express?
No, you can't. So if you see on the screen here, it says you can set up ads in 15 minutes. Well, right there.
That's kind of a big giveaway.
Yeah, you're going down a bad path right there.
Yeah, so you completely give up all control with this. The thing is, with junk removal and some of the stuff we're going to cover as we progress through today's episode, is Ads Express and some of the automated stuff for Google AdWords a lot of times works pretty well if you're like an e-commerce store, where they can actually see the keywords that were typed in that led to a direct purchase, which the purchase was for X amount, so here's your ROI. And at that point, the algorithm with Google can actually track it. With something like junk removal, just because somebody clicks on your page or calls your phone number, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is a hot lead or a good lead that's going to turn into a paying business. So it throws the algorithm off in a lot of ways because it might be looking for a particular action, which is a phone call. You get that phone call, but it's somebody looking for their weekly trash pickup schedule, somebody looking for junk car removal, for dumpster rental, so on and so forth. And though it led to a call, and in Google's mind it led to conversion, it did not lead to a sale, which is ultimately most important. Run away from AdWords Express.
If you actually look at the screen, it's pretty ironic. Right below,
oh, look at that.
We actually did not plan this.
Yeah. No, you should not use AdWords Express. Don't waste your money. So just search for AdWords Express right there. I have been to this page before, but you can read about why you should not use Google AdWords Express. This is off of kickpoint.ca. So the keywords, so we talked about you have to use, to kind of recap, you need to use exact and phrase match. Do not use broad match. Keep broad match turned off. You're going to have a Google Ads rep that's going to call you up, and they're going to tell you need to get on broad match in order to increase your clicks and increase your traffic. It is going to increase your clicks. It is going to increase your traffic. What it's ultimately going to do is it's going to cost you more money without increasing your income. So you want to run from broad match. On single item bid strategies, again, oftentimes people equate more as that they think more is better, and that's everything in life, not just Google Ads. But in terms of Google Ads, oftentimes people equate it as more being better. And one of the things you can a good amateur will ask an ads company is, how many keywords am I going to be showing for? And that might be a decent SEO strategy. But when it comes to ads, less is better. So you want to be very, very focused on a select group of keywords and go after those customers that are searching for those particular keywords. So let's talk about single item bid strategies, because what led me into talking about that is oftentimes people want to show that they're going to show for mattress removal, refrigerator removal, grill removal, hot tub removal, couch removal, recliner removal, and these are very, very low traffic keywords, but you still will get some traffic on it, especially the mattress removal keyword. So talk about how should you target these single item bids?
Yeah, so when you're setting your campaign, Google's if you're setting up your campaign for the first time or just doing general maintenance under the recommendations tab in ads, it's going to recommend adding items such as mattress removal, grill removal, fridge removal, appliance removal, and it's going to recommend based on search history and your website and everything else, and your competitors, is going to recommend these single keywords. But I mean, you want to be really cautious, and even if you target these keywords, so mattress removal and grill removal, those are single item pickups, depending what your minimum charge is. If it's $99, if it's $125, that's going to run your minimum, right? The cost for a mattress click is going to be about the same as like a hot tub removal or shed removal or fence removal, give or take a few dollars. But the value on the job, when someone searches hot tub removal, they know they're going to spend a couple $100s to get that done. So
several hundred,
several hundred, depending how large the hot tub is, depending how big the fence is, depending how huge the shed is, it could be a very substantial job. So I see campaigns all the time, ones that we analyze that target heavily mattress removal. Well, you don't want to target those keywords aggressively, because I'm sure we've all gotten phone calls. How much is a mattress removal? Oh my gosh, it's $99. No, heck no. Hang up the phone. So, I mean, you just paid $5 for that click when you could have spent that budget towards a project or a single item keyword that could lead to a potentially larger job. So if you are going to target grill removal, mattress removal, fridge removal, most of the campaigns that we run do not target. But if you really like doing that stuff, just make sure you set the bids low. You want to be paying $10 for those clicks, because that's not a winning formula.
Convert low. And the only reason that they're that expensive is because a lot of the companies out there that are running ads campaigns have driven the bid up. And they've driven the bid up because they don't understand exactly kind of what we're talking about here. So you're getting some information. I mean, even some of the franchises even do this. So you've got some pretty well-known companies out there that get pretty good, that are successful businesses, but they themselves don't even understand the logic behind why you shouldn't pay as much for one like a mattress removal keyword, and that's a keyword that's searched quite often. Hey, on the mattresses stuff, this is slightly unrelated to ads, but it is. One of the things you can do that we used to do, we no longer do because we're so busy. If we get about 5 more trucks, we might bring it back. You can actually have 1 or 2 days a week where you, as long as somebody can be available at any point, you can have like an ASAP pickup day, like a single item day. So if all they have is a mattress, all they have is a grill, all they have is a couch, whatever, you can say, all right, we're going to come by and we'll pick that up for $70 or $60, whatever you choose. But it has to be ASAP. And then what you do is you take all of your jobs that you have for that particular time. You just do 1 day a week. You enter that into a like Route Excel is one of them, that it's going to spit out the most efficient route. You treat it like a trash schedule. You just hit everything in order. You dump when you need to, and then you get right back onto it. It can be fairly profitable. I mean, if you get if you're getting $70 a pickup, you can do potentially 12 pickups in a day. So I mean, you can have a close to $1,000 day with fairly low disposal fees, lower fuel costs. It's going to be efficient as far as lower labor cost, and you're going to get more customers because you've got that single item day. When we did it, we would oftentimes quote the customer the full price of an item for a regular pickup, and then if they didn't like that, we'll say, hey, well, here's an option. If you're flexible in your scheduling, we can come out on Friday. It needs to be some point throughout the day. We'll come by, we'll pick up that item. It's going to be $70 instead of $125. So keywords are extremely important. What we talk about is less is better. That's kind of what we mentioned before, except when it comes to negative keywords, more is better.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about negative keywords. What kind of negative keywords should people have in their campaigns?
So, depending where you are in the country, trash and garbage is kind of a 50-50. And this is one of the things that when we run ads in New York, we want to be careful because people do use trash and garbage pickup. They could mean junk removal. So you want to be careful. You could run trash and garbage removal. So if we typically use them as negative keywords. However, you would always want to test it in a market before you put that in there. So I would create trash removal on exact match, and I would do garbage removal on exact match. You could track that with conversions and see if you're getting phone calls, but more importantly, are those phone calls leading to jobs? If after running that for a few weeks, if you've gotten 5 phone calls, no jobs, then those are probably bad keywords for your market. Don't assume that you know the keywords in your market because you can be surprised. So trash and garbage, I would test those right on exact match and see the conversions and see the phone calls. A big one is schedule, city. A city of, if they're here in Raleigh and they put city of Raleigh junk removal. They're not looking for your service. They are looking for the government to come out there for free and do it.
Curbside pickup.
Curbside pickup. So anytime anyone types in the city, that's not you. That's the government.
Yeah, unless it's like New York City.
Yeah, unless you're
something like that.
Unless you're in New York City, of course. So if you're in New York City, don't add city. Otherwise.
Yeah.
Cars, vehicles, boats. If you guys don't do that stuff, add those. Free is a big one. Free, cheap, Craigslist. Those people, if they put in free, cheap, and Craigslist, depending on your market, you could have paid $10 for the click. Already they're looking for the cheapest service possible, so they're not concerned about whether you're insured. They're not concerned, whether you're uniformed, whether you have a nice truck. They just want it done the cheapest possible. So Craigslist, cheap, free, and add those keywords on broad match so it blocks everything.
And then like dirt would be another one.
It's never ending. It'll never stop. You'll always add on negative keywords. It should be an ever expanding list.
Yeah. So and the way to do that is evaluate search terms.
Yeah.
So we can you'll go into your Google Ads campaign and you can actually view all the search terms that you showed for. So a great way to track these trash and garbage keywords, I think would be like, CallRail, and for a temporary period of time would be a decent way because you could actually check and see which keyword they search for.
Yeah. So
if you're testing out trash and garbage, using CallRail, we like conversion tracking for Google even better than CallRail, but CallRail is actually dynamically changes your phone number depending on where the traffic came from. So a Google Ads customer is going to have a different phone number from a customer that came organically, from a customer that came from Facebook, from a customer that went directly to your site. And it'll actually tell you the search term that particular phone call came from. So if you paid for a month of CallRail and you tested it out for a month, and at that point you're going to figure out, it allows call recording too. So you can actually listen to your customers' calls. You can figure out, did this person actually schedule? And in that case, you're going to figure out in your market if trash and garbage are actually decent keywords. The issue is in New York City, though, trash and garbage might mean junk. it also oftentimes means just trash and garbage pickup. So that's one of the reasons ads up in some northern states can be tricky. You know, they require some modification because of some of the blending of different types of keywords. So, we got any questions or anything at all, Aaron? Any comments at all? Okay. So, guys, if you got any questions at all, any comments, please post in on YouTube or Facebook. Make sure you're liking us on Facebook as well, and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We talk about it oftentimes on the Google Ads end of things, the willingness to spend money, and it's very difficult to start an ads campaign when you're down to your very last dollar, because it doesn't necessarily mean as soon as you turn these ads on that you're going to get a bunch of work. You could, we've seen that happen. We've also seen happen where it might take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever to start really gaining momentum. And the other thing is every market's a bit different. So you can take our JRA campaign. We set it up in your market, and chances are, unless we happen to have been to your market at some point before or know something about your market, we're going to have to learn it as well. So we understand the junk removal end of things, but we need to understand exactly your people as it pertains to junk removal, what they're searching for, what ad position they like. So, I mean, we are always kind of tweaking ad positions. So we might have you in first. We might move you to second or third, track the cost per click, track the number of conversions, and just kind of see how that's working out. Those are the constant tweaks you want to do to really, really manage an ads campaign well. You got to be willing to spend money first. We generally tell people at minimum $1,500 a month that you're willing to spend towards ads before you even give it a shot. If you want to do less and you want to self-manage, you might be able to run a campaign for $500 a month. Chances are you're probably going to get some cheaper customers because you're not going to be showing well. You're probably going to waste a lot of that money, but there is a good opportunity. You do land a few jobs as well just because you show and somebody happens to click on you rather than one of the competitors.
If you're going to work on a small budget of AdWords, on which is anything really under $1,500, you really should stick with exact match. So really control those. Stay away from phrase, stay away from broad. If you got a small budget, stick with exact, because tell Google you want to appear for these keywords and that's it. Because if you stick with exact, at least you're eliminating the chance of bad searches, because you don't want to wind up at the end of the day spent your budget and someone could have clicked on your ad a couple times. We see these sometimes where someone types in how to start a junk removal business. Well, in phrase match, your ad can grab that because the keyword junk removal is there. So if you have a limited budget, the only match type that you want to stick with is exact, because that will really help your campaign go the furthest on the limited budget.
So ad extensions are something that we think are very important. An ad extension is going to increase the amount of real estate that you take up on your page. There'll be the things like, for example, if you look on junk removal here, and oftentimes we're showing for more. Now we're doing some experiments on the Junk Doctors campaign right now. But oftentimes, if you go to the Junk RA page, you'll see what I'm talking about. This is an example of how we have appeared in the past. If you look right here, these are the extensions. So these stuff on the bottom are these ad extensions. We also have a call extension, which you can't. I don't know if you guys can see. But talk about ad extensions, what they are, which ones you can use, why they're important.
Yeah, ad extensions are basically taking up more real estate on the device. So ad extensions are there under extensions on AdWords platform, and the more you put in, the more real estate it takes up on the bottom. So it displays your ad, your headline 1, your headline 2, and headline 3, and your description, right? And then below that, you're going to have these things called ad extensions, which really can increase, Google claims they can increase your click-through rate at 30% because it really makes your ad significantly larger. You don't actually pay more for that. Those ad extensions are typically for the people that are appearing first on ads. So I was just talking to a client, and he was saying in DC, he was saying he wants his ad extensions to appear. Well, unfortunately, you can't, unless you're in first place, you can't really tell Google to display your extensions because everyone wants their extensions to display. So they're really kind of reserved for that first place, the person that's willing to pay the most money. But the type of extensions that we see the best are Call Now extension, which is someone calling you directly from their ad, so they're going to bypass your website and just call you directly. a Book Now extension, which if you use House Call Pro or Vonago or whatever your booking platform is, it could just send them directly into that booking platform. It skips everything. And then a promotion extension. The promotion extension is newer. It's a new extension, and I really like it the most because it looks different. It's got a little sale tag, and it makes the customer think that they're getting a deal. And that's just whatever promotion you have running at that current time. It could be $35 off spring cleaning or Memorial Day sale or 4th of July sale. And the promotion extensions perform extremely well. Some tips and tricks for running those is to put an end date on those, so it makes people feel like that that sale will end. So we typically do like $20 off same day booking, next day booking, and this expires at the end of the month. So it gets them to book. But and if your trucks are light, you could change that promotion extension. So if you wake up Monday and you don't have a lot of jobs, you could say save $30 off same day booking to get people in the mood to book. Or let's say you have a really busy day, you really don't want to talk to anybody, save $30, book online. And whatever promotion extension you want to run, you could change that every single day, depending on how, whether you have crews available or you have a busy day. Save $30 off next day booking. So you could really kind of guide people to save money towards whatever works best for you. So they work really well if you work them correctly.
Yeah, and one of the key things to take from that, though, is Google decides when they're going to show it and when they're not. You just have to set them up, and then you're playing in Google's backyard, so they're going to control what all they show in it. JRA Call Center, guys, the ads, Google Ads is a great way to get you more business. The call center is a great way to finalize them and lead them into a booking. JRA Call Center costs nothing, zero cost. Because what you do is you raise your prices. It's $21 now per book job, unless you're an existing customer. We're keeping you guys at $19. Don't panic on me. It's $21 per book job for this JRA Call Center, guys. Raise your prices $21. The people we've got, Melissa, Zach, when Shane's on it on backup, Kirsten, Christian, all those guys, when they are grabbing those phone calls, the chances of them booking the job is probably a lot higher than yours because they have a structured phone call. They've gone through training. They take junk removal calls all day long. They're not driving a truck at the moment. They're not out in the field about losing their breath, and they're answering the damn phone.
Yeah, hundreds of phone calls a day. So I think on some Saturdays we take over 200 phone calls last Saturday in one particular day. So this is very systematic. The call center works extremely well. Again,
guys, it costs nothing. Don't y'all worry about everybody worries about raising their prices. 2-3 times a year we raise prices. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and say, shit, I'm going to raise prices today. And have never once seen any pushback whatsoever. Sometimes you think you just get busier. If you guys want this call center, you want to regain freedom back in your life, it's $21 per book job. Raise your average job by $21 and it's free. And all of a sudden you're no longer missing calls. You're booking more jobs. And it runs from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time. You can get your life back. When you're at home and you're off work, the call center's grabbing your calls. It's booking. It's going on a booking platform. You see it pop up. You get an email about it. You go do the job and you take the money. That's all there is to it. All right. So let's shift back onto AdWords or Google Ads. I still call it AdWords. It's not Google Ads. Ad scheduling. Should people set up a schedule on when their ad shows?
Yeah, scheduling is important. So, when you want your ad to appear, and I always say the earlier that your ads start appearing, the better, because the calls that you typically would get in the morning around 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock a.m., those guys are looking to book that day and get it done as soon as possible. So setting up an ad schedule is great. If you're not going to answer the phones, first of all, if you're not going to answer phones, don't run ads. And secondly, don't have your ads running if you're not going to be answering the phone. So if you at 6 o'clock, if you put your phone on the charger and don't look at it, stop running your ads at 6 p.m. You want to set it up for every day of the week. So usually when we onboard clients and we're working through an area for the first time, we would set up a schedule. We'd run ads every single day of the week from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or whenever they're going to answer their phones for. And then we're going to let the analytics decide what days perform the best and what days perform the worst. And we're going to let that decide, is it worth running ads on Sunday? Is it worth running ads on Saturday? Is it worth, what day of the week is slowest in our area? So as you run ads and you have those analytics, you can make those calls and you can go in. This kind of leads into our conversion tracking, where you need to have conversion tracking in there, whether you're using CallRail or Google Ads conversion tracking. You need to have them in there so you can make that call based on analytics. What day of the week performs best in your market, and of course, there's things that are out of your control. Weather, snow. There's a lot of flooding going on, tornadoes in Ohio. So there's things that happen out of your control. But when you look at data, when you make those decisions, you want to make sure that you're using it for a good bank of time. So when we make changes to junk doctors, like Lee said, we're experimenting position right now. We would never want to make a decision after a couple of days. You really need a good solid 30 days of data. Bear in mind, holidays and things like that can throw stuff off. And you don't want to the worst thing you can do is make a decision on ad scheduling based upon bad data. So you'd always just want to run it every day and then make a decision in about 30 days, at least 30.
All right, so one of the things you mentioned there was conversion tracking. And you don't want to run something without knowing whether it's working or not, or and you also don't want to make changes whether or not it's working. So I always make racing analogies just because I'm very familiar with racing, but it can be applied to a lot of different things. But in a race car, one of the things they tell you, if your car isn't handling properly, don't make a dozen changes, make one or two, see if they work, then come in and make another one or two on the particular car. Because what might happen. And also, you need to make one or two changes. You go out, you run about 10 laps, and you figure out if what you did actually made a difference or not. If it didn't make a difference in the handling performance of that car, or it made a positive difference or a negative difference, then you tweak. If it was good, maybe you do a little bit more of the same. If it was bad, you reverse it and go the other way. And ads are the same way, but you have to have the data. You have to be able to take those laps around the track, which is, and be able to, you have to have the stopwatch to track and see, your lap time is actually getting better.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, talk about conversion tracking, how it gets set up, what you need to be tracking with it.
Ooh, so, conversion tracking is probably the hardest thing to do, honestly. When we look at companies that are getting really busy, whether they're using Google Ads, conversion tracking, or CallRail, it's difficult because there's a lot of different conversion actions and there's obstacles for you. For those guys that use House Call Pro, what happens is someone could go on your website and then click on Book Now, and then what happens is it shoots it to a House Call Pro's website. So at that point, you lose conversion tracking because you're no longer in control of that site. And so there's definitely challenges with conversion tracking, but for the most part, there's a couple things that we want to track. Calls, phone calls from the ads, which is really easy to set up because it just does it it's integrated. You don't need to install any scripts or anything. You just need to set up the parameters. So that is, if someone looks at your ad online, clicks the phone call, calls you, that's a call from the ad. The second conversion action should be a call from their website. So this is a tag that you have to set up in Google, but you're going to need to install a script onto your website in order for it to do that. So you're going to have to install that script, and then you'll know when you're getting phone calls from ads from your website. And the next is going to be contact form submission. So if someone is interested in a quote and they're at work and they submit your information on your website and hit send, that's another conversion tracking goal. These are all good conversion tracking goals. And the last one would be book online, which is one of the most difficult ones to track because, depending what you're using, I've seen 100 different book onlines. It could be shooting to a third-party service, which you can no longer track. So you could track that button, but then you're kind of getting...
Does it actually follow through?
Yeah.
That's the schedule. So if you can tracking if they click on the book online now button like up top, that part's pretty easy. What happens if you're using a third-party service is finding out, do these people actually finish the booking process, or do they just go to the page and drop off right there?
And then, like Lee had said, the book online now can be a conversion option, but it's tricky. It's a tricky because for those of you that aren't using manual CPC, if you're using optimized for conversions, then Google's getting bad data, and they're going to analyze anyone that clicks on the button as a conversion, which is not 100% not true. That's not a conversion. If someone clicks that button, that's of no use to you until they go through that scheduling. And
one of the things he was talking about conversion tracking is extremely difficult. setting it up can be done for the most part. There are, like you were saying, sometimes on tracking online bookings that can be a bit difficult. But getting it to track phone calls, getting it to track contact form submissions, that part, is for somebody that halfway knows how to work the ads platform or WordPress, whatever. That's not going to be a difficult thing. What he's talking about can be difficult. Is all right. So you get the data in, you see the data, but then you got to analyze the data and figure out what it means. And then you need to be able to make tweaks and come up with ideas on what kind of tweaks to make, and then test those tweaks to see what kind of results that it has. That's the type of stuff, like with our websites, we track conversions, and it's worth it to us because we deal with so many different customers. It's worth it to Junk Doctors because, Junk Doctors does, 600-700 jobs a week or something like that, I think. Is that right? Yeah, something like that, if not more. Yeah, so it's going to be more than that. I've never thought about that number, but it's actually more than that. So we've got a large amount of jobs we're doing. So if we can make just a percentage point difference in the conversion tracking, then that's going to make a huge difference in the amount of calls we get that actually, and then how many people we can actually convert to. So there's multiple things going on. You need to treat it almost like a scientific experiment on your conversion tracking. But make sure you've got some data set up so you can understand how it's working at least. And then you start, making changes and tracking how it does. We had talked about ad positioning briefly earlier. And for a long time, we kind of assumed the first position was 100% going to be correct. What we found, though, is that in some markets, a second or third position actually leads to as many jobs, if not more. And it obviously has a lower cost per conversion. So there is one thing, though, is there are certain customers on Google Ads, if you're not in first, they're going to choose the company that's in first place. They're just not going to shop around. You picked up the phone, you know how to close the job, you're good to go. So the people that go you're going to miss out on certain people because of that. Now, the reverse of that is there are some people that are not going to call the very first website they look at. They're going to go to the website, they're going to do some research, and then they're going to find somebody else, and they're going to figure out, all right, these companies are fairly similar. I'm going to pick up the phone, I'm going to give this individual a call. So, and if you're in first position at that point, there's no way, if somebody's never going to call the first website they click on, there's no way you're ever going to get a call from that. So you got to experiment, and you set your bids to different levels to determine which position you want to be at, and then you track the conversions. The other thing that you need to track is the calls you're actually getting, are they still as quality? If you're in second or third position, is it still as quality of a customer? Is your booking percentage still as high? Or are you getting somebody that's calling around, they're doing a lot of price shopping, and they're just probably not going to hire anybody until they reach the seventh or eighth person, or they're never going to hire anybody at all. They're going to get the brother-in-law to do the job. So that's the kind of difficulty, that's the kind of test you need to be making and tweaks. You don't want to just set an ads campaign, forget about it. We've done that before, and in 6 months, before we managed campaigns, when I was self-managing an ads campaign, I'd set it up, I'd forget about it for 6 months, go back to it, and it's, we've wasted $20,000 or something because, something's changed in the market, and we missed it because we weren't paying attention to it. And that's the reason it's very, very important to actively manage your campaign. If you don't have the time and you aren't willing to invest the time into learning how to do it, a company like JRA that all we do is pretty much manage junk removal campaigns, we're a great option for you. So online booking. We really recommend online booking. When people are working, a lot of times they can't make phone calls, right?
Yeah, people don't want to talk to people don't want to talk to you anymore. Honestly,
a lot of people don't.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people prefer to book online. We get a lot of jobs online, and they're great because they set the time, they put in all their information. You don't have to take the phone call. You don't have to discuss pricing if you have pricing on your website. When most people that are probably under 30 prefer to book online, it's definitely their preference.
And like I said, when they're at the work, oftentimes they can't make phone calls. So, Amazon wouldn't be in business if people, if all of a sudden a business owner said you can no longer go to Amazon.com while you're at work, they probably, they'd be struggling a lot more. Because people wonder when they're at work on their computer, they wonder to different things oftentimes. And junk removal, they're thinking about junk removal, they're looking at it at work, and they want to go and book it, so they do it online. You need to make it as easy as possible for your customers to schedule. That's going to lead to more conversions, which is going to make that ads campaign work that much better. Workies is a fantastic platform for that. Aaron, please make sure we get the Workies link listed in the description on this video. If you guys check out the description on the video on YouTube, get it on Facebook too if we can. Leave it in the comment section or something. then you'll be able to follow to Workies. Workies is an awesome platform that it's your scheduling platform, invoicing platform, does call recording, call tracking, GPS tracking for all of your reps. You can run all kinds of reports. Where's all your business coming from, and how much money is it brought in? So, how much money has Google Ads brought in? How much money has Yelp brought in? How much money has a mailer you mailed out, yard signs, a TV commercial, radio? You get the picture. All that can be tracked. You can break down by text. If you have eight different techs, 8 different team leaders out there, what's the average job for each team leader? How long are they spending on each job? All of that can be done through Workies. JRA has a special program with Workies. We are an affiliate partner with Workies, but the nice thing is once every 2 weeks, we have a meeting with them where we actually go over changes. We try and improve this platform. The goal is to get Workies to be the best platform. It already is the best platform for junk removal companies. The goal is to improve it even more so. The CEO of Workies will be in town visiting us on Monday. And our plan is, if we can get everything organized, our plan is to actually go live with him where we can answer questions about Workies, talk about the platform more in depth. CEO of Workies is going to be here on Monday. So, if we got any final questions at all, guys, please pose those final questions right now. Anything at all, Aaron? So any questions we got, we need them in right now because we're getting ready to wrap on the show here in just the next few minutes. The website. So we've mentioned some great tips on getting your ads campaign set up properly. Your website, it's very, very important that you've got a website that leads to customers actually calling, and showing pictures of junk generally isn't where it's at. You want to show the people that are actually providing the service. The people is what really makes the connection. So make sure that, on your site, on your main image, you're showing people rather than just a huge pile of mess. And guys, finally, when people call, pick up the phone. If that phone's ringing, you need to answer it. Don't run ads and all of a sudden think ads doesn't work because you get the opportunity because it leads to a phone call and you don't pick up, or you fumble through it and you don't properly get the sale closed. Aaron, check that camera right there if you would. So that's something very, very critical to do, is to make sure you're actually answering those phones. Again, guys, we gave you a lot of great information on Google Ads today. If you guys do not want to manage it on your own, it takes a lot of time. We've given you some great information. If you use this is really relevant towards junk removal. You study the ads platform, you figure out how to set it up on your own. You can probably get a decent campaign built off of just the information we provided, maybe 80% of the way there. If you want that last 20% and somebody looking over your campaign to make sure it's optimized properly and fully functional, operating on all 8 cylinders, then you give us a call at 919-617-1975.
A couple other things to add real quick is don't overanalyze the ads campaign. They're not meant to be analyzed every day. You have to look at, like I said, we had said trends and consistency over time. You can't analyze that. Was it done for me today or tomorrow? Because that I'll tell you, if you want to do that, then ads is not the right platform for you because it cannot be instantaneous. And one more thing for the phone calls, and we do take hundreds of phone calls here. You're always going to get those calls. Hey, do you service blank? And then we hear a lot of people say no, and you haven't even asked what it is. It could be a $10,000 job because first off the bat, they're going to ask you, do you service this area?
Yep.
Nope.
Especially if it's an area that's far out.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these far out jobs are estate clean outs. It's like their parents' home and their parents have been living in the place for 50 years. And it's literally like a $5,000 job. And it just might be 15 minutes farther than you want to go. And you tell them no, and you don't even know that you're sitting there at a $5,000, $10,000, $30,000 job.
So when they do that, just say, it's a little outside our service area. What items are you looking to have removed, or what have you got? So it could be a huge job that you turned away that you have no idea what it is.
Yeah, and we give a minimum sometimes too. So some people will call us and ask, do you service so-and-so area, and it might be an hour and a half, 2 hours away. And then, we ask them what they have, and if what they have doesn't sound like a full truckload or multiple trucks or whatever, and say, hey, we can come out your way, but we're not going to do it for less than $1,000 or less than $1,500 just because it's so far. Do you want us to come on out and take care of you? If you do, it's going to be X amount. And again, that's because you never know what you're turning away just because you don't want to drive an extra 15 minutes. It could be thousands of dollars you're missing out on. The only other thing I will mention is the competitor call. If somebody calls you up, this is most common. Hey, hey, is this 1-800-GOT-JUNK? No, it's not 1-800-GOT-JUNK, but we do stuff very similar to what Got Junk does, but we're locally owned, so we can actually charge a bit less because we're not having to send money back to Canada. And they're like, oh, okay, well, you move junk, right? Yeah, we remove junk. And then you go through the booking process and you get everything booked. Don't just say, no, we're not 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Just and leave it at that. Have an answer available to actually try and lead that into a job. If somebody calls 1-800-GOT-JUNK, the reason they're calling is they've seen them on TV, they've heard of their name, and neighbors talked about them, whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean they have brand loyalty to Got Junk. Got any questions?
Yep, we had one come in from one on YouTube. He asked, what's the pricing for ads management?
Yeah, $750 a month for ads management. We want to send you spending at least $1,500 a month through Google. We've got people that spend, $10,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $1,500 a month, $15,000 a month.
They start there. A lot of them started slow and they grew.
Yep, that's exactly. You start at, you're going to start at $1,500, $2,000. And then you're going to track conversion, see how it's doing, and then you start raising it up. And before you know it, you're running 5 crews, 3 crews, 10 crews, making a bunch of money.
Now you're calling us to tell us to turn it off.
Yeah, we have customers now. Turn it off, we're too busy. So, which is exact. I never thought we were going to have that problem. You don't need to keep up with your trucks and keep jobs coming off. But, ads is a great platform. It's not necessarily for everybody. If you got a weak stomach, if you're going to try and track it every single day and not look at it over months, not just a month, but months, then you got to be very, very scientific, very analytical on these Google Ads type of stuff. Appreciate everybody for watching today's episode. Again, I am Lee Godbold. We've got Mr. Shane Miller in here bringing you information on ads every Tuesday, every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern Time. We talk about something related to the junk removal and home service industry. So if you guys got any topics you'd like covered on Thursdays or a later episode, please leave it in the comments section on Facebook or YouTube. And again, right there on Facebook, right now, before you hit the back button or you turn me off, there's going to be a thumbs up button on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button, or if you don't like us, I'm going to